welcome to this deep dive. We're jumping straight into quite a lively discussion in the Ruby community lately.
Yeah, it's all about instance variables, right? That little at symbol.
Exactly. There was this article in Lucian Ginda's short Ruby newsletter, kind of kicked things off, made a case against using them directly.
Mm-hmm. Advocating for getter methods instead.
Right. But then we saw a counter argument, someone actually defending the direct use of at variables and proposing a new gem called Strict Ivars.
Yeah, trying to sort of bridge the gap.
So our mission today is basically to unpack this whole thing, look at the arguments, the trade-offs, and this new proposed solution.
Sounds good. Where should we start? Lucian's points.
Yeah, let's start there. His main argument, it really boils down to safety, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's about errors. If you typo a method name, bang, you get a no method error. It's loud, it's obvious.
But if you misspell an instance variable, like at name instead of at name,
Poof, you just get nil. Silence.
and that's the dangerous part, according to Lucian. That silent nil can just, propagate through your code.
Exactly, leading to bugs that show up way later, and they can be a real pain to track down. You don't know where that nil originally came from.
Okay, so that's the safety argument for getters. Pretty compelling.
Definitely.
But then this other viewpoint comes in. The author we looked at actually likes seeing at variables directly in the code.
Yeah, which seems counterintuitive at first, given the nil issue.
Their reasoning is all about visual clarity. That at symbol is like a little flag.
A flag for what, exactly?
For this is raw data access.
Yeah.
It immediately tells you you're not calling a method.
Okay. So you know there's no potential behavior hidden behind it, no complex logic, no database calls, no performance cost associated with the method.
Precisely. You see at thing, you're just getting the value stored in thing. You see thing, well, who knows what that method might do?
That's an interesting perspective. It's about the immediate readability of the code's intent, distinguishing data access from behavior invocation.
Right. But, and this is crucial, this author doesn't ignore the typo problem. They acknowledge that silent nil is bad.
Okay, so if they like the at but hate the silent nil, what's their fix?
Well, this is where it gets clever. They propose automatically wrapping every instance variable access in a check.
Like checking if it's defined first.
Exactly, using Ruby's defined. So when you write it name, behind the scenes, it effectively becomes something like raise name error unless defined. At name.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if at name hasn't been assigned yet, or if you typo it, defined, returns false.
And boom, you get a name error.
Yeah.
A loud, obvious error, just like you would with a misspelled method.
And it points right to the line where the bad access happened.
Yep. Solves the silent nil problem without sacrificing that visual at marker.
That's quite neat. And this automatic transformation, that's what the Strict Ivars gem does.
That's the idea. It acts as a Ruby preprocessor, meaning it scans your code before Ruby runs it, specifically code and paths you tell it to watch, and it inserts those defined checks automatically around every at variable.
So as a developer, you just keep writing your code with at variables as usual.
But you get the safety net. If you make a typo, you get an immediate name error, not a silent nil.
So it's trying to give you the visual distinction and the error safety. The best of both worlds, maybe?
That seems to be the goal. It's an interesting approach to tackle that specific pain point.
Of course, you mentioned it's new.
Yeah, the author makes it clear it's experimental. They're looking for people to try it out, give feedback, see how it holds up in, real projects.
Makes sense. Need some road testing.
So wrapping this up, we've got Lucian's focus on safety via getters, preventing silent nils.
Then the counter-argument championing the at for visual clarity, distinguishing data from behavior.
And finally, this Strict Ivars gem, using that defined trick to try and combine the clarity of direct access with the safety of loud errors.
It really makes you think about your own preferences, doesn't it? Like, how much do you value that instant visual cue versus the built-in safety of getters?
Absolutely. Maybe this conversation sparked a little aha moment for you listening, thinking about how you handle instance variables.
And it leads to a bigger question, perhaps. If tools like Strict Ivars, these sort of code preprocessors or analyzers, become more common, how might that change how we interact with language fundamentals?
That's a cool thought. Like, what other small conventions or potential pitfalls in Ruby or any language could be smoothed over with a clever tool like this? Are there other silent errors waiting for a strict whatever gem?
Definitely something to mull over. It shows there's always room for innovation, even around long-established practices.